Basically self help नाम भी इसीलिए है self help, let's say that self help group. This self help group means a group which helps to each other, you can consider, and the members help themselves, that you can say. Lijjat Papad, you should know that it started 1956 and it started with 80 rupees. Basically, let's see, they ask, they will not ask, this becomes now general. Yes, if you know about self-help groups, it is just general. Questions are sectoral, means they ask to a particular aspect. If you see also, plus we are expecting a question, they have already asked bank link program. So we expect a question on this called Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Yes, in fact all are expected one. These are some recent developments. So we expect a question related to digitalization. We expect question marketing challenge. Then they can use gender empowerment, financial inclusion, social capital, decentralized governance, womenpreneur, political awareness, their bargaining power, attitudinal changes, workforce participation, as many different major segments you can think. Yes, the questions can be framed in that way. Means questions many a time are not asked simple. You know that. Although even if questions are difficult, answers people write the simple one. That's also the fact. Let's take the first question itself. The legitimacy and accountability of self-help groups and their patrons, microfinance outfits, this is how patrons they have linked in the 2013 itself, need systematic assessment and scrutiny for the sustained success of the concept. It is basically, let's say that entire self-help group, a question on covering entire self-help groups, it is a macro question. So it demands a macro understanding. You can write only when you have macro understanding what it needs to be assessed. Otherwise, simple answer already there, pros, cons, way forward. Next, the penetration of self-help groups in rural, now it is a specific question. In rural areas, in promoting participation in development programs, right, is facing socio-cultural hurdles. It is a very specific question. Yes. Now you should have specific facts, knowledge. This you can answer. The next question was also specific, 2015. It means, let's say, continuously they have asked question. 13, 14 and 15. Right. The self-help group bank link program, ये भी बहुत ही specific question है. Right. Which बहुत लोगों को पता ही नहीं होगा. You should know that. जिस तरह का knowledge होता है GS पेपर में, मुझे पता है कि बहुत सारे लोगों को पता ही नहीं होगा कि ये क्या मतलब है. Which is India's own innovation. This has proved to be one of the most effective poverty alleviation and women empowerment program elucidate. You should have knowledge specific to bank link program. Yes. Then emergence of self-help groups in contemporary times points to the slow but steady withdrawal of state from development activities. Now, the way we dealt in case of civil society, same thing. how state is gradually withdrawing from development activities, shedding responsibility to self-help groups. So then again you have to link what those responsibility were. This. Right. Examine the role of, I think it is the one question, yes. Examine the role of self-help groups in development activities and measure taken by the government of India to protect self-help groups. Now it is asking whatever the steps taken by the government to improve self-help groups. So that already they have asked now. Now, poverty, let's say that, can vicious cycle of gender inequality, poverty and malnutrition be broken through microfinance of this? Right. Explain with example. This. Now it is in the context of poverty. This. One in the context of rural development, another context of poverty, another in the context of bank link program, and one was a macro question. This, and that is how we'll find the questions they have asked. Right. So then let's say areas which they have not asked, that is how. So the areas which they have not asked are so that is how we are trying to cover. Areas that the bank link program they have asked. Another major thing they have not asked so far is Deen Dayal Upadhyaya, National Livelihood Mission and self-help group. This you should know that. So that link we expect. Then digitalization related challenge has been written, so that we expect, let's say marketing challenge has been, these are all, if you find types, so small articles have been written in newspaper related to this. Then attitudinal changes, improve, let's say one workforce, political awareness, we expect winpreneur, social capital, these are other areas we have been expecting. Question related to self-help groups. This, and अभी जो है प्राइम मिनिस्टर बात करते हैं, दीदी तो मिली नहीं वेस्ट बंगाल में, तो लाखपति दीदी. This, and in interim budget also it has been mentioned. This, so at least इससे क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा, ये जस्ट रेफरेंस है वे फॉरवर्ड में मेंशन करने के लिए, ताकि आंसर अपडेटेड रहे. Right. This. So that way we can talk. This is what we have to talk. Yes.
So the previous year there was a question in quality paper.
Quality paper.
Yes.
Quality paper की तो बात कर रहे हैं.
No, I'm just asking. It is regarding civil society groups and discuss the contribution of civil society groups for women effective and meaningful participation and representation in state legislature in India. Can we answer this now?
हमने अभी तक पढ़ा नहीं उसके बारे में. मैं अभी जब ये बैच खत्म हो जाएगा तब पढ़ूंगा. मीन्स डिस्कशन इस बार हमने लिया नहीं अभी तक, पता है. न तो हमने जीएस पेपर सेकेंड का लिया है, न एथिक्स पेपर का लिया है. ठीक है, हमने दोनों का डिस्कशन नहीं लिया है, अपना वाला सेक्शन और पब्लिक एड का भी नहीं लिया है. तो इस बार कोशिश सोच रहा हूँ कि जैसे ही टाइम मिलेगा तो करेंगे. देखो वो डिमांड करता है रिसर्च. स्टूडेंट के पास तो जैसे तैसे जो नॉलेज होगा उसी पे वो लिख देगा, बट इट डिमांड रिसर्च. यू नीड टू हैव स्पेसिफिक फैक्ट्स. ठीक है, सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, आई डोंट हैव एनी नॉलेज that ki any which particular civil society has done research related to state legislature.
Yes.
This give right. Read again the question.
Discuss the contribution of civil society groups for a woman's effective and meaningful participation and representation in state legislature.
या तो वो इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में कहीं लिखा होगा.
आर्टिकल लिखा है.
हो सकता है. आजकल टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया, अरे आजकल हिंदुस्तान, अरे द हिंदू एंड इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में कंपटीशन है. दिस But I have not done, I have not particularly done any research, and I cannot answer without unless at least you know one, two civil society organization which have done some research related to that. बहुत ही specific question है.
Page 14.
Yes.
सर अगर कुछ नहीं आ रहा होगा तो फिर मतलब इसको फिर सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स फिर उसके साथ और दूसरे का एग्जांपल लेके फिर वहां से लिंक करते हैं.
Yes, मतलब अगर नहीं आ रहा है तो आप क्या करोगे? Means you have to write some right basic aspect that कि how right
ये जो फर्स्ट वाला जो स्टेटमेंट है ना जैसे कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ सिविल सोसाइटी ग्रुप्स फॉर वुमेन इफेक्टिव एंड मीनिंगफुल पार्टिसिपेशन ये लिख सकते हैं रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ सिविल
yes women participation so you can link some of the civil society organizations. Let's say seva promotes it is only for women, that can be let's say one. Similarly self-help groups, the self-help groups are not at first place civil society but in broader sense civil society. The self-help groups, self-help group federation, वो भी लिखना पड़ेगा. Recently, I think it was in news. मैंने I stopped teaching, but अभी फाइन कि इस बार कहीं न्यूज़पेपर में फिर से आया है जो. Right. Already 6-7 years back we have asked question, finished it. But then we stopped gradually. इसलिए कि फिर लगा कि relevant नहीं है. But अभी recently it was news. Let's say I think ED was also made a self-help group federation, something like. Right. Anyhow, that's not the point. The point is, then you can write general. Try to find out those type of civil women organizations which promote participation. World Economic Forum का भी नाम ले सकते हैं, World Beijing Conference का भी नाम ले सकते हैं. आपको just here there let's say, but we don't have any specific civil society which is working in that field. Yes, कि कैसे उसने विमेन रिप्रेजेंटेशन को बढ़ाया, मतलब हेल्प किया है. हो सकता है कि वो विमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल हो या उसके पहले कोई डिबेट हो तब इस तरह के कुछ आर्टिकल्स आए हो.
तो वो लिख सकते हैं वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल की उसके पहले का ही लिखना पड़ेगा.
नहीं वो तो उसके पहले का भी लिख सकते हैं. राइट. दिस
या तो वुमेन रिजर्वेशन जो बिल अभी आया है उसके पीछे कोई शायद होगा सिविल सोसाइटी.
नहीं किसी न किसी स्टेट में सिविल सोसाइटी ने कुछ काम किया होगा. ठीक है. अब उसने वर्क किया होगा, कहीं ना कहीं वो पब्लिश हुआ होगा, EPW में पब्लिश हुआ होगा, किसी न्यूज़पेपर में आया होगा, किसी गवर्नमेंट के रिपोर्ट में होगा, कहीं ना कहीं वो जरूर होगा. UPSC cannot ask a question without having a basis. There may be a report here and there, and a state may have, let's say, influence, or there can be influencing in a particular state. This, but that facts, unless we have, we cannot talk. Yes. So when I will take discussion, by that time we will have facts. Try to search, do research. Right. In fact, I will ask the team. I was to do research on this. Anyhow, let's take this. This is how we have to talk this. So, see, although self-help group is not very dynamic, but since it has several dimensions and it is increasingly becoming very popular, then because of those dimensions it becomes very challenging, or a bit challenging for you to know from that different dimensions this and have some different facts. Once you understand it, it is not a challenging topic. All these topics are not challenging. Basically they demand to understand the concept, know some facts, positive, negative side, and express a view on that. This is how it is needed. So, like say कि pressure groups we have told. You understand the concept. Concept part is that you are able to differentiate pressure groups from civil society, pressure groups from interest groups, and you can customize your answer as per the given demand. This is called understanding. Same thing related to civil society organization. But you should also know that since knowledge is getting advanced, and let's see, many things are we can find that many developments we can find. So because of that, it happens that the questions are not necessarily macro. Some questions are macro, but some questions are quite macro sectoral. They focus on a particular aspect of the topic. This. So answer also demands in that way. So we'll try to understand self-help group.
आपने सही कहा था, रिसर्च हुआ है, पब्लिश भी किया है, रिसर्च पब्लिश किया वुमेन्स पार्टिसिपेशन,
Which one?
Which is
enhancing women's representation in legislature, forum for democratic reforms, पूरा चार्ट वगैरह बना के दिया, पाई चार्ट वगैरह पूरा दिया,
Foundation for Democratic Reforms.
When it was published?
It's a PDF. Dr. Lijjat Papad.
mainly examples of Maharashtrian government, Maharashtra and Gujarat.
What is the title?
Enhancing women's representation in legislatures, an alternative to government welfare. Forum for Democratic Reforms.
Okay.
इतना अपडेटेड कैसे रहेंगे?
ये भी पुराना रिसर्च है, 2009 तक ये है.
आप वो लिख लो
सर 1952 का डेटा दिया.
Anyhow, let's चलो कुछ तो मिला बेसिस. Anyhow, let's take. Self-help. इट इज इन जनरल, बहुत ही जनरल तरीके से आप लेमैन तरीके से आप बोल सकते हैं. यस. सो बेसिकली सेल्फ हेल्प नाम भी इसीलिए है, सेल्फ हेल्प. लेट्स से दैट सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप. दिस सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप मीन्स ए ग्रुप which helps to each other, you can consider, and the members help themselves, that you can. So when they help themselves, it is collective, cooperative, and let's say that voluntary, because it is not forced. It is not forced, let's say, forced that you cannot force someone to participate. This rather, let's say you can come together. So if you are willing, you can come together. This, so that way it can be considered. That is how it is economic cooperation. Or let's say this, the purpose is economic cooperation. Then promote savings. Basically, you have to know this, let's say that its purpose is to promote savings. Because savings will further, let's say, give them, let's say, basis to further invest. So they, let's say that they will try to have economic cooperation, this, and then income generating venture. They have to take income generating ventures. Hence, we can define also that self-help group is an act of economic empowerment through collective, cooperative, and voluntary efforts. This. How, let's that the process starts. Let's. This is again I am writing in dictation. I will change a bit, make it formal, but here we are talking in a very general way. The process is that let's say that 10 persons, 20 persons, this 10 to 20 persons, they can come together, form a group. They can form a group. When they form a group, the members will contribute. They will have economic contribution. Each member, let's say that, each member can contribute 10 to, let's say, suppose 100. So, it will become, if 10 members, it is, you can consider this, or if 100 rupees they contribute 10 members, it can be this. Now, this, let's say 1000 or 100 can be considered as a sum which they can invest. This sum can be invested in those activities which will further generate income. This, it can be small business, let's say, very, let's say, micro से भी micro आप बोल सकते हैं. तो micro business, this micro business can be related to, let's say, tea, this coconut, etc. as a small handicraft type of activities. They may small business they can start. Now, it is not necessary that all the 10 persons are active. If there are 10 persons, out of that 10 persons, 5 persons can start the venture, 5 persons work as supporter, just they are supporting the activities. This, or 2 persons can borrow, others can be just supporters. So, this way we can consider, when they borrow, they have borrowed money from their group. This. And this borrowed money they borrow with interest rate. Interest rate can be, let's say, as high as 30%. So they will invest in any such business, and after, let's say, a certain time, they have to pay back that with interest rate. This. So two things happen, let's say that their income, let's say by this, let's say by 100, they may have an earned profit. Suppose, let's say they have earned 50. This, so it is now 100, but 30% they have to reduce with this. That is still they can be in profit, let's say, marginal profit. That can promote savings. The profit, etc., will ultimately result into savings. Now the savings they can use for their income, or let's say that it can be further invested. This is the process. Now, you know that how the venture can become so big. There can be many such success stories, small which started and then they are now huge. This you should know. One example we give is like Lijjat Papad. You should know that it started 1956 and it started with 80 rupees. It started with 80 rupees. This it is 1600 crore. Yes. And it gives employment to 45,000 people. Yes. तो ये आपको देखने में छोटा लगेगा कि इससे क्या होगा. This, but business ideas start with very small thing, and then all business ideas, let's say, may not succeed, but yes, some of them you can find how they have become successful stories. And you know that Lijjat Papad founder was given by present government Padma Shri Award 2-3 years back, not today, 2-3 years back. She was given Padma Shri Award. This. So that's why she became in news. Otherwise, we used to teach only Lijjat Papad, and we started teaching that time. It had 800 crore turnover, but when we updated ourselves, it had become 1600. This you can see. So that way, and this is not only the success story. You know that even a bigger success story, our biggest success story is Grameen Bank. This. So Grameen Bank is, you can consider perhaps the biggest or best, most successful microfinance bank. And it was established in 1976, right, by Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh. Yes. And he started, let's say that, he gave, ये तो 80 rupees है, let's say, it is said that he gave $23. Yes. $23 in Bangladeshi rupee, let's say. He also gave $23 from his own pocket to some women, poor women. Those women were making bamboo stools. So bamboo stools they made, and those bamboo stools, when they made it, they sold in the market. So they sold to money lenders where they borrowed the money. And they also borrowed the, let's say, raw material from money lenders. The money lenders sold the raw material at high cost and bought the final product in less cost. Hence, women never came out of this cycle of exploitation. You can see that is debt trap. They remain indebted to the money lenders. Hence, they were forced to borrow from them, borrow raw material, make those bamboo stools, and sell to those money lenders. So he gave from his own pocket few dollars, means Bangladeshi, let's say rupee, and he told that you borrow the raw materials from market, and once you make bamboo stools, you sell in market, so that you are not under that debt trap. So when you have money, you have bargaining power. So you will bargain the raw material and buy at less price, and when you make bamboo stools, you will again bargain and sell in the better price. And this cycle continues. He told that you work as a group. You work as a group. That is called self-help group. तो बेसिकली अब तो थोड़ा सा नेशनलिस्ट माइंडसेट भी हो गया है, इसलिए बोलना पड़ता है कि सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप ओरिजिनेटेड रहे इन 1956. तो पहले हम लोग बोलते थे सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप केम विथ ग्रामीण बैंक. बेसिकली मेजर वे में सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप का ओरिजिन ग्रामीण बैंक से होता है. But when you start looking into history, as we are trying to look into all those histories and find if we had anything or that, so that is how now we say कि no, Lijjat Papad was found. So India में ही self help group का birth हुआ था. Right. Anyhow, so the question is that he told that you work as a group. And you tell your members to form, means other relatives, other known people, that they should also form other groups. And gradually the process became so big, that this Grameen Bank, by 2006, it was given Nobel Prize. And by that time it was $6 billion bank. $6 billion bank, and its NPA is below 4%, at times even 1%. It is called 99% recovery rate it has. This. And since 1996, we say 1996, 1992, 1992 around, it did not take, or it has not taken a single coin from government. It is a self-reliant bank run by people. This. बट आवर बैंक्स, आपको पता ही है कि 5-6 साल पहले ही 2 लाख करोड़ दिया गया था बैंक को रिकैपिटलाइजेशन के लिए. ये द प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट गेव 2 लाख करोड़ to 6-7 years back to banks for their recapitalization when they were facing twin balance sheet problem. This, and NPA reached to 12%. And those who have increased NPA, they are in London. Anyhow, basically this is how you'll find that अभी भी सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप का जो एनपीए हमारे देश में है वो 1.8%. वो थोड़ा सा फ्लक्चुएट होता रहता है, 1.6%, 1.8%. So it is very less. So Grameen Bank is success story. It is Grameen Bank success story which influenced our self help group movement. And we also initiated self-help group movement, this, which will tell you when we'll take evolution of self-help group. So you can see that how it starts. It starts with few women, and you start with few dollars, few women asked to work together, and then gradually, let's say, process grow like this and become $6 billion. वो भी उसके बाद मैंने अपडेट नहीं किया है कि अभी क्या स्टेटस है ग्रामीण बैंक का. This, and similarly you can see that कि Lijjat Papad becoming like that. So there can be several such stories where you will find that कि self-help groups have first started as a very small group, and then they have grown into, let's say, such a huge, like 45,000 you will find this. employees, and let's say you have 1600 crore turnover of this, and starting with just 80 rupee. So this is what we have to say, process, the process of working. Now you know that the government has supported them. What government does is, banks, government, now private sector, even Facebook, Google have also come. This you should know that. All have now started supporting self-help groups. This. Because self-help groups need support in terms of first call finances. They need microfinances, this support. But only microfinance will not help them. They need digitalization also. Then they need, let's say, trained, let's say, now when they started that time and now you know that their members should also be a bit skilled, if not like market type, but they should also be skilled. They skilling them. Plus you should know that कि many a time business sector gets business from government. बिजनेस सेक्टर को बिजनेस कहाँ से मिलता है? गवर्नमेंट देती है. बस रोड बनाना है, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप. उसी तरह से सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप को भी बिजनेस चाहिए, एक्टिविटी चाहिए. So that is how we try to support them. The self-help groups, you know that they have got their support. This, and that is how the idea of self-help group. Now, why we give so much emphasis on self-help groups, right? This self-help group and how we have so much. Why we have linked with women? Because most of the things are linked with women. So 88% members are self-help groups, or 88% self-help groups are women self-help groups. So when 88% self-help groups are women self-help groups, it means that self-help group means women self-help groups. That's why self-help group and women both are right, interchangeable, you can say, or we can consider it something called synonymous. It is empowerment. Now, why we link with, before we start formally, so why we link with women empowerment and many other things we have linked. This, why it is important. So then comes, let's say that women and development. And you know that the role of women in development is, right. So we know that how there is gender inequality. Right. Largely gender inequality, the World Bank will tell a bit of this. The World Bank will say three things. Still women face challenge in terms of right choice, voice. So still they do not have equal rights. Still they do not enjoy equal choices. Choices are more available to men. Right. And similarly, they do not have equal voice. This. So, right choice and voice you can consider this aspect. And then, any development when you talk, so without development of women will be considered as half development or no development. This. And more importantly, self-help group is related to, let's say, about vulnerable section, backward area, backward areas, poor people. Now you should know that all these things here, mainstream society has less presence. This mainstream society. Mainstream society means, let's say, bank. The banks are not present in poor areas. You should know the first thing. Banks are not present nowadays. अब तो काफी changes हो गए हैं, but banks are not present in poor areas, regional areas. When banks are not present, so first thing is that credit is not available. The credit not available. So when credit not available, you do not have banks. So what will happen? Then poor people will depend on poor लोग कहाँ से पैसे borrow करेंगे? Money lenders. That's why self-help groups are also considered financial intermediaries or microfinance institutions. The self-help groups have also given rise to microfinance institutions or financial intermediaries. We say this MFIs. That is how once a question they have their patron. Self-help group and their patron. The patron is microfinance institution. Yes. So basically self-help group is for backward areas, poor locality, far-flung areas where you do not have banks, you do not have government, you do not have business. All the mainstream instruments will not be present. Administration, government, business, civil society, they may not be present. And there if you bring a self-help group in that locality, it will work as bottom-up. You connect from bottom and then it will connect top down, that way. So that way if we are able to, basically let's see government, I can say that the top, self-help group, bottom. If you are empowering them, if government is directly empowering them, then they are further empowering others. They are further empowering others because it lies at very bottom level. उसके नीचे अब कुछ होता नहीं है, last mile connectivity like. So when you form a self-help group at bottom levels, it is a last mile connectivity. And more empowerment of self-help groups at bottom levels, it will not empower below. It is empowering up. And that way it will complement with traditional model, whatever the developments we have. Plus, certainly it will try to empower those who are in that locality. It is connected, the self-help group is connected with bank, this we can say. It is connected with administration, it is connected with civil society organization, right, NABARD. Just I am trying to link, and it is connected with members, society. This society. तो बैंक भी कनेक्ट हो गया सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप के थ्रू सोसाइटी से. ऐसे बैंक कनेक्ट नहीं हो पाएगा. The bank will not be connected directly with society at far-flung level, but through self-help group it can get connected. It means all these mainstream, they are all the mainstream, let's say instrument. Mainstream instrument through self-help group get connected with society. That's why we say it as intermediary. And that's why it has gained so much significance. In terms of economic, social and political. That is what, let's say, you have to talk as far as the idea is concerned or as far as concept is concerned. So we started with a particular, let's say, time, whatever, but if you talk some facts, so let me tell that we have 12 million self-help groups. It is basically as per economic survey 2022-23 last year. Economic survey. So we have 12 million self-help groups and we have 140 million members, total members, means, sorry, million families, let's say. Families, members. Then we have over 47,000 crore saving balance. Yes. And credits given. So, and all these things are biggest. So, basically India has biggest informal women empowerment program in the world. This that way we can talk. So let's write and then one by one we'll talk. So India has biggest informal women empowerment program through self-help groups that, according to Economic Survey 2022-23, there are 12 million self-help groups with over 47,000 crore saving balance. There are 12 million self-help groups